Hello everybody and welcome back to Build and Battle MTG. If you are new, my name is Austin and we're back with another top 5 of my favorite commander cards. So yeah, let's hop right into it. But before we get into this, Build and Battle MTG, as you can see right there, just hit 331 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and supporting my small channel. And if you're not already, please subscribe and like the video. It'd really help my small channel out a lot. Alright, enough self-advertising. Let's hop into it. Starting off with the first card, which is Triskatica File. So, Triskatica File, hold on, let me click on this real fast. Alright, so the market price, first of all, on Triskatica File is 41 cents, so definitely a budget friendly card, but let's take a look at what this does. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can read it with me. So, for 1 in a blue, you get a 1/3 human wizard creature. You have no maximum hand size, so already that's great for a bunch of just really like any commander deck out there. You can have a big draw, X spell, and fill up your hand really nice, and it's nice just to not discard. Anyways, next ability on this card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game, and then you can pay 4 and draw a card. Wow. Okay, so first of all, just a win con on a creature that also says you can have or you have no maximum hand size is just amazing in my hand, or not in my hand, in my mind. For 4 you can draw, that's always great, but the real key wording we're looking at is if you have exactly 13 or more cards on your upkeep, you win. So for a ton of decks, this is not going to be a particularly hard threshold to meet, and especially with having no maximum hand size. Let's say you play this at 6 cards in your hand, then you pay 4 to draw, then you're at 7, next turn you draw, whatever you know, you play a draw spell. Yeah, I can keep going on how to draw cards, but obviously there's tons of ways to draw cards. So it's not that hard if you're over 13 cards to get down to 13. Just like drop a land and play a cheap spell and you're at 13, then you wait a turn and you win. But you do have to keep account for your draw for turn, but I'm pretty sure this can trigger before your draw, so I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure this ability right here can trigger before your draw. So yeah, that's why this card is great. You can win the game for 2 mana. Alright, moving on to the second card on our list is Wayfarer's Bauble, with market price $2.20. So, Wayfarer's Bauble is a 1-drop artifact that has pay 2, tap it, sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Alright, this card is great. Let me explain why. So, let's say you draw this in your opening hand, right? You play a land, drop this turn 1, then turn 2, you crack it, and you're already at 3 lands. That's just amazing. It does search for a basic land, but that's what a lot of ramp spells do. Especially in landfall decks, this card is insane. And also, you do sacrifice it. I know that does matter for some aristocrats type decks, but it does end up in your graveyard, which is nice. Decks like to fill up their graveyard. So I'm thinking of like Osgear. This would be really good in that deck. You could exile it from your graveyard later on, make a bunch of copies. Or in a landfall deck, just ramping you that extra land. Or in colors like white, who don't have a lot of access to ramp by itself, or like black or something. So yeah, that's why this card's good. There's not much to cover. It was like $4 before this reprint, so I could see this jumping back up in price in the future. So definitely pick up a copy right now if you are thinking of running this. Alright, next up on the list, I've been waiting to talk about this card forever. It's Vorpal Sword. So this is for 1 black, it's an artifact equipment with equip 2 black. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has death touch. Alright, so that already is pretty great. Giving death touch to your creature is definitely underrated. I see a lot. But you can pay 5 and 3 black. Until end of turn, Vorpal Sword gains. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. I cannot tell you how many games I have won with this card, and hopefully you'll see Colton and Clayton commenting down below just to back me up on this, but I run this in my Chatterfane Squirrel General deck. So Chatterfane does as Forest Walk, if you are not aware. So any commander that has some type of evasion, I cannot recommend this card enough. It ends games. People will not be able to block your creature, and then you just pay 8 and they're out. They can't do anything about it. Especially like Forest Walk or Flying. This card's great. Also, just the equip to give Death Touch, that can be extremely underrated. And if your commander does have evasion, equip this early game. It's going to start dealing 2 more damage every time you attack. So that will add up, especially if you're going for like a Voltron strategy. And yeah, so any commander with evasion that has access to black, I cannot recommend running this card in your deck more. It is only $1.27 right now. I could see this card going up in price just because of how hilarious it is to just end someone's game for 8 mana. And a lot of the times they won't see this coming. I find myself equipping this early game a lot, and they just have, they just forget about it. And then I attack in, pump it, and they lose. Yeah, great card. Moving on to the next card on the list, it is Blasphemous stacked, one of my personal favorite board wipe cards. So this is coming in at market price, $2.60. Definitely worth it. Let me explain why. For 8 in a red, it's a sorcery. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, and it is not uncommon to have 8 creatures on the battlefield. That is actually extremely likely, especially on turn 5 or 6. Just drop this in for 1 mana, and it's going to deal 13 damage to each creature. Now, 1 mana for a board wipe, because this is probably going to take out everything unless your opponents have some insanely high power creature, which is very unlikely, so I don't even take that into account with this card. I just read it as destroy all creatures, but maybe not. Anyways, another hilarious combo with this card is to run Brash Taunter in your deck, then deal 13 damage to it and direct that to an opponent. Or something like Tolivar that deals excess damage to opponents. This is great. Or Torbrand. This will just deal even more damage. But just on its own, this can be a 1 mana board wipe, which is absolutely insane. It is sorcery speed, but most board wipes are, so I don't see that as a drawback. So yeah, that's why this card's great. There's not really much to talk about it. It's a 1 mana board wipe in most scenarios, so yeah, I think it's a great card. And the last card on this list, a bit of a controversial card, is actually Blighted Agent. So let's go over the price first. It is 78 cents, which I think will definitely go up in the future. So let me explain why. If you've been following this channel, you know I love Infect, so I will try to make this not a biased review on this card, but I definitely think it's worth it. So I run this in my Galea equipment Voltron deck, and it is not that hard in a Voltron deck to get your creature. Alright, so 10 infect damage, you lose the game, right? Blighted Agent is unblockable, and it has infect, and it's a 1/1, so that's a pretty low power. But if you equip this even up to 5, and then hit someone 2 times in a row, they die, ideally it's going to be at 10. So yeah, if you have some way to like buff cards in your deck, maybe a +1/+1 counter deck, I'd run this card in there. And let me just tell you, I bought a infect deck that was budget for like $20. This was last year, mind you, but now it's worth like $300 something. I did buy extra cards for the deck though that are like a sideboard, but I bought a bunch of infect cards, and I have seen that infect is slowly rising in price as newer players figure out that you only have to deal 10 damage in commander. They do think that's pretty broken, and it's definitely a fun archetype to play. So yeah, give this a try in your Voltron decks, your +1/+1 counter decks, and yeah, it's a great card. And that's going to be it for this video. Thanks you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.